I'm not sure if you've seen this, what's currently happened, but Donald Trump tweeted out saying, our deal with China is done. Subject to final approval with President Xi and me, full magnets and necessary rare earths will be supplied upfront by China. Likewise, we will provide to China what was agreed to, including Chinese students, using our colleges and universities, to which he has always been good. Right? We're getting a total of 55% tariffs. China's getting 10%. Relationship is excellent. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Anyways, so all good. Looks like the China deal is done, right? That's something that we've been saying. Obviously, the market's not going to recover or go crazily higher, is because it's no one's expecting that to happen to that early.
I think they got uh I think they both came to an agreement saying that they can't have this long term war.
Yeah, that is something that they did say. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to. I mean, it was obviously not going to happen long term. I mean, no one's going to be able to sustain what is it, 45% and 125% tariffs, right? So they brought it down to 35 and 15, and now they've kept it at 55 and 10. So it's going to be 35, and the 20 is going to be the ones that they have any which ways for Fenton. So that's what makes 35, 55. Now,
Have they mentioned anywhere about the rare earth deal, the
about
mineral
deals,
deal, the rare earth mineral deal?
I mean, see, what he says in his tweet is that the current deal with China is done, subject to final approval with President Xi. Full magnets and any necessary rare earths will be supplied upfront by China. So the fact that it'll be supplied upfront by China basically means that they've been able to
They're
get
getting
what they want.
they're getting like a bump start essentially
Yeah, I
from
mean,
the deal.
I'm guessing that was what was any which ways part of the deal. I don't know why everybody was worried about the fact as to why is it going to be that much of an issue. Everybody knows that the only thing that America can supply, which the Chinese don't have at this moment, to that much of an extent, is the current semiconductor chips. And while China has the only thing which America wants, which they can't get anywhere else, is the rare earth minerals. So they both were playing their own game of trying to figure out who's going to be getting what and how does it happen. Anyways, we're about 8 minutes away from the inflation print. So that's the reason we had this live earlier. So everyone that's new year, go ahead, just say hi. Everyone's that old year, also say hi, subscribe, and we do this every day at about 9 a.m. This time we're going to be doing it a bit early. I've got
Maybe
Sean in with
seven
me this
minutes.
time
Hello.
for the inflation. I'm hoping he joins for most
7
of the
minutes.
lives, but this one's going to be fun. So stay in, watch out. Let's see what Trump says. Let's see what happens. I'm also guessing that if you do have another lower inflation print, I think we might see Trump coming out and tweeting against Powell saying it's too late once again.
I think even Elon will come in and chime and say some
Oh,
dumb stuff.
Elon already came out today. He caved. Elon caved. Elon came out and said that he's not going to be able to do anything more. He pretty much regrets what happened a few days back. So basically, he's like, hey, listen, I don't want to lose my billions. I'll be nice to you. You be nice to me. He poked the bear that he shouldn't have, is what he
Hmm.
realized. And to some extent, that's what's happened.
I think
at
he
this point.
felt he owned because he gave him $400 million. So he's like, I own you. But then Trump U turn and said, nah, dude, thank you for the donation. Bye bye. But
Yeah,
I do think Trump helped him setting up, giving him low barriers of entry into India, China, a little bit, all that stuff. Trump did that. White farmers, white farmers thing, right? No, from South Africa, they gave them refuge status in the US, all because of Elon Musk. So I think Elon Musk might have thought that, he would get his own people into NASA to get better deals. But Trump was like, dude, you're asking a lot more than what you gave him.
that's that. But I mean, at the end of the day, he's still the president, right? Trump's the president. I mean, so it's not it's not something that's you're not going to be able to poke that kind of a bear. At the end of the day, he could put in tariffs, he could put in whatever he wants on Elon's companies, and then that's going to be a big issue, right? Hello, how's it going? How's it been? Let me just go ahead. Where are we? 4.5 minutes away, 4 minutes and 20 seconds away. Make sure all of you guys go in and vote. I want to see what happens to the CPI print. I'm going to change the poll once the print is out.
What is
So
your opinion? Like, what do you think? What do you think the inflation data might
I think the inflation numbers are going to be lower than what people expect. I think it might come in what people expect, as in I believe at 0.2% it is going to stay steady. I don't really think it's going to be that much of an issue this sprint. I do also believe that this might necessarily be our last best sprint for inflation. So by that I mean that we might be at a curve where inflation starts picking up, right? Now that is something that we're still looking at, right? So
Hmm.
I'm not really sure how this plays out. We could be in a scenario where inflation stays low, but here's my issue, and a lot of people are not thinking about this. What happens if the jobs numbers starts getting worse and the Fed's supposed to be cutting because of that? While on the flip side, the employment numbers, not the employment numbers, sorry, the employment numbers crater and he needs to cut versus inflation picking up because of which he can't cut and he possibly has to hike. That's the stagflationary scenario that a lot of people are not talking about. They're only talking about it on Twitter, thinking that it could or could not happen. That's it. So that's something that I'm looking at because that is something that can come through. I'm not saying it's going to come through this month, next month, or in the next quarter. It could come through 2 quarters from now. But remember, that kind of a scenario, you could be in for real shits. I mean, it could get really ugly. It for sure is not going to necessarily be smooth sailing, right?
you think we'll get another Trump tweet about power not cutting rates?
We're going to get
Too
that
late.
irrespective. We're going to get that irrespective. I mean, see, in
Where's
my
power
in my
cutting
thought
rate?
process, in my book, I don't think the inflation numbers are going to be higher than what people expect it to be. It could be lower because remember, this previous month you also had oil heading lower, so that could necessarily help prices go lower as well as inflation head low. So let me just get this question. It's from NR. The print will either make or break the year. You know what? They say that every print. Don't stress about it. It's all cool. The only time you should stress about it is if the expectation is 0.2% on core or 2.8% and we get like a 3.5 handle or something like that. Right? It's like this with unemployment. If unemployment is at 4.2, even if the jobs numbers are off by 20,000, 30,000, it's okay. The thing is unemployment should not pick up from 4.2 to 4.5 in 1 month. It is the degree to which the surprise happens that's usually the worry. It's never 4.2 going to 4.3 or is look at it. Let me make it simple. Current inflation expectations, right? It's out in a minute. So let me just go over it so you'll get to know what I'm trying to say. In 55 seconds, we should be getting the number. Everyone's expecting core CPI to increase from 0.2 to 0.3. Everyone's expecting CPI year on year to increase from 2.3 to 2.5. CPI month on month stays steady. Here's what I'm saying. If the expectation in the market is of a 0.2% increase on CPI year on year, if we get a 0.2 or better, the markets will rally. If we get anything more than 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, right? So a 2.3 expect previous month, we're expecting 2.5. If we get a 2.8 or a 3%, we're screwed. For lack of a better word, we're going to get screwed. So we're 15 seconds out. At the end of the day, what I'm coming back to is there should be no surprise. We're better off with lower numbers than a surprise. That's all I'm saying. Right? The numbers should be out pretty soon. I should go in and just get them. Let me see. If Sean, if you do get those numbers, just put it into the chat so people get to know what it is. 2.4 on CPI year on year. So you expected 2.5, it came in at 2.4. CPI month on month 0.2 came in at 0.1. So that's what I'm saying. Inflation is dropping. You are going to see that tweet coming out. Core CPI has come down from 0.3 expectations. It was 0.3 that was expected. 0.2 that was previous month. It was expected it to be at 0.3. It's coming at 0.1. That's what I'm trying to say. Your numbers have come in better. Let me go over it again. Core CPI has come in, which was expected at 0.3, has come in at 0.1. That's one. Two, CPI month on month comes in at 0.1 instead of 0.2. Right, Sean, just go in and put it on the chat so everybody knows what's happening if they're not able to get it. CPI year on year from 2.3, which was expected to go in at 2.5, is now down to 2.4. So everything's lower. All the numbers are lower. I think the stock market, yeah, you have a massive green candle on the exchange. 22,000 is gone for the index. all stocks in the green. This is why we celebrate, guys. This is how you want to celebrate. Your numbers are one of the best that you could have expected. So don't cry later asking, saying, where is inflation? Inflation's gone. Okay. But you might see someone coming out and saying that somebody's been too late in cutting. Very much possible. So, and you have another good day because Donald Trump just goes out and says that the deal with China's done. And like I've been saying this, right? I think, Sean, I was telling you the other day as well. The easiest deal for the trade deal, the easiest trade deal is the one between China and the United States. All it requires is two people to come together and agree to. You don't need all these other countries. The EU is going to be the toughest trade deal to make because all those 20, 25 countries or whoever they are need to come together and decide what the hell they want, right? All of them coming together, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, all of these guys coming together and deciding to do one thing together is going to be a heavenly task. Whereas when you come down to, especially when you come down to America and China, it comes down to one person in America that makes the deal, and it comes down shortly to one person in China who decides what he wants to do with that deal. All right. So the market's up about 100 points. It's not too much, but we're off the lows. I think we're a percent away from all time highs, right? Just 1%
Wow.
away from all time highs.
Yeah.
With all of the uncertainty, everybody's expecting uncertainty, everybody's expecting trade tariffs, everybody's expecting issues to happen in this world at the moment. You are seeing pretty much numbers that have come after, I don't know, the amount that people were expecting for this to be a bad number. Now that I think about it, it's just nothing. Let me just go over a few tweets and see what's happening. CPI up just 0.1% in May. Now, here's the fun fact, right? What this does is this could make the scenario for Jerome Powell easier to cut because now inflation is not, everybody's expecting it to rise a bit. It's not even happening on that front. So you're seeing it going lower and lower while the unemployment rate has stayed steady. Now, cutting 25 basis points is not too much. It's not going to change anything in this world. But here's the flip side. Think of this. If he cuts in the next meeting and the next meeting is 9 days from now, how many people are going to be coming out and saying that he cut because he's been coerced by President Trump to do the cut? Maybe he gave in to all of this and that's why he's cutting, right? That could be another story altogether that could turn around and happen. Pretty much seems like there is not. What I can see is traders are adding to
Wow.
bets on September
0.5 up.
to Fed rate cuts after CPI data. If I had to guess, we might see an all-time high today.
Oh, we're gonna say what 1.15% on the index.
Yeah, I think we could see a 1.5% on the Nasdaq. I'm not sure how far the S&P is. The S&P is about 8%. Maybe not on the S&P. I think the Nasdaq could go in and make an all-time high today.
But do
I
you
would
really
believe.
think Powell might cut? Because I don't think it's the cut.
I don't think he needs to cut. I
Yeah.
think it's better to have that kind of firepower on the side. Plus, here's the other thing. 0.25 percentage points doesn't really move the needle. So it's not really too much. Firstly. Secondly, if he cuts, it will very much look like he gave in
Yeah.
to what President Trump has been saying, right? It would surely look like, oh my God, Powell's come in and done something that, you know what, wasn't really expected to. Yeah, he's saying Trump says deal with China done. Yeah, that's bullshit. I wouldn't tell you not to
It could be
believe.
done. It could be done, but then he lies.
Okay, so here's
He
what's done.
lies a lot.
Here's what's done. The Geneva framework is now being implemented. The Chinese side of the story, and I'm coming to that. The Chinese came out and said that America should stop putting on these tariffs and it's not right and all of that. What they're going to do is implement the trade deal. This is President Trump coming out and saying that the trade deal is done before everything that's happening, purely because of the fact that he's wants to let the world know that he won. Remember, I've been telling you this since a week, maybe even last week. He needs a way. This is his way, saying the deal is done. He's got Elon on his side now because Elon's saying, "Hey, you know what? Sorry, boys, I didn't want to poke the bear. My bad, my mistake." Right. So that story ends. He's saying the China trade deal is done. The deal's not done. If the deal was done, the tariffs will be off or the tariffs will be lower. The tariffs cannot stay at 55% and then say a deal is done. Okay. And even at 55%, trade would pretty much come to an end. It'd be very tough to deal with 55% tariffs. That's one. Secondly, there's enough ways to go around these 55% tariffs, right? No one's sitting down and valuing stuff that's coming into America and saying, okay, no, you know what, you said it's $400 worth. I'm going to put a 50% tariff on it. Whereas actually the product was $700 worth. You don't have border protection and customs agents out there sitting and valuing stuff. Because of the amount of SKUs that are there, people need to start realizing that it is not easy to collect tariffs, right? Now, when Toyota comes with his car in and says, okay, here's your car and go ahead and buy this and this is my tariff, fair enough, that's okay. But all these small things that come out of China, all your Temu and Shane and all of this that's been coming out of China is come to a halt. Okay.
right?
Yeah, the de minimis thing that's currently going on is still shut, so it's not like it's been cleared and everybody's
It
shipping
was
whatever they want.
$700, right? Now?
I think it was up to about $800, somewhere around there. But what I'm trying to say is that the deal's not done. This is him saying the deal is done from his side.
Oh, he's
It's
trying to, he's what he's dude, this guy is so slimy, I think what he's trying to do is like, he's like, oh, the deal is done. But if someone says the deal is not done, it's like, he says, he's in his mind, it's like an insult to them
yeah,
because
exactly.
we
So
agreed.
exactly
He's very slimy.
that's what I'm saying. And that's what NR is saying right now, saying we're getting a total of 55% tariffs, China's getting 10%. Right? That is the framework that's worked on. It's gonna happen after they both speak. If you see the first line of his tweet, it says that they both want to still speak. Once
Yeah.
both of them agree to it, that's when it's gonna happen. Until both of them agree to it, it's not going to happen. That's how shit works. It's not so easy as going down this road where they're both going to be like, okay, we're going to get a deal done and things are going to look rosy on the other side. It's not that easy. I wouldn't expect the Chinese to cave into a 55% American tariffs. And if that is the case, trust me, he's not making a lot of money through tariffs. They're going to evade, they're going to find different measures. Like the Huawei guy came out and said, they can have different tariffs just because of packaging, just through differential packaging. So it's light and day. And even if it was true, right, the market would start having the rally. The market rallied purely because of, in all honesty, if the market believed trade talk coming out of a tweet, the market has stopped reacting to President Trump's tweets. They've realized that he could say this right now, and on Monday morning, he can come out and say, had a talk with President G, things don't look great, here's 55%. So, my bet of the story is don't write off the tariffs, right? Don't write off that the trade deal's over. Enjoy the games, be smart, play the game in a longer term approach. Don't try
You
thinking of
think
this as it's all ended just because the guy comes out and says it's ended.
you think because now people are going to shift from European markets to the US markets now?
Maybe not. I don't believe that necessarily they will shift. One thing that you are seeing is the dollar index heading lower. Does the bull run end or continue after July because no one deals would have been signed by then? Let me tell you this: the bull run has no correlation anymore to what the president says to what the tariffs are unless we get back to 145% tariffs. Because the market has realized that he can say something today and he can reverse that tomorrow. So there is no correlation between a bull market continuing with the tariff situation. It's over. The issue to the bull market will only be a weakening job market and a weakening inflation scenario where you start having inflation spiking while the jobs market heading low. That is the cause of concern that nobody's talking about today. And I'm telling it to you, even though my portfolio would be up and most people's portfolio would be up, I'm saying do not get complacent. Remember, bull markets climb a wall of worry. This is your wall of worry. Tariffs are not your worry. Your worry clearly is going to be what is going to happen with the employment and what is going to happen with inflation. Inflation, with the looks of it, looks like it's a problem that is being solved very easily. Employment, on the other hand, is not necessarily a problem that is going to get solved so easily, is all that I'm saying. Now, I'm 100% invested and I'm 100% bull. Okay. So I have skin in the game to talk to you guys and tell you all that, listen, everybody should be bullish and markets are heading higher and everything's going up. All right. But what I'm trying to tell you guys here is do not get complacent in this rally thinking everything is going to go up for the rest of the year. You will have bouts of volatility and be ready for that. You can have a 2% up day, which can reverse into a 2% down day if this guy comes out and says that, hey, I still need to work on something else. He needs a win. He got a win today. He got the win on the inflation. He's going to get a win on his scenarios that's currently happening related to all of his trade nonsense that's going on. He's getting it, right?
Do you think this upcoming upset in LA might have some effect on the markets? Maybe if Trump starts deporting more and more illegal immigrants or legal immigrants, you
That is
think
what is
you
going
might
to
see
be
the
affecting. What you're saying is right. The illegal deportations, not illegal deportations, the deportations of illegal immigrants, and a lot of illegal or legal migrants and everybody else that's been getting a job and is been taking care of the employment numbers. Okay, let me do this simply. Pre-COVID, if you had 100 to 150K, was between 100K, 150K, those are average numbers. Those are good. You don't need 200K numbers. The only reason in the past few years we've had 200K numbers, and which is why everybody that's new to this channel and everybody that's new to investing in the past 5 years has been thinking that you need 200K numbers, 250K numbers for a great economy. We've never had that. We've only had that because of COVID, and people were looking for more jobs. People were taking up two jobs, legal. I don't know what they were, but people were getting jobs, and a lot more people were in the workforce. Which is why you also had a very big tearing 2023, 2023, 2024 bull market. So keep that in mind, guys. It's a very normal number to have 125K. It is not a bad thing to have 125K, 130K, 140K number. So it's not too much to look at that, right? Let me just cut this off here a little bit and let you guys know that whoever voted pretty much came out and said that there was going to be a breakout high. So we had about 8 people going into the vote, and all of them saying that they're voting for breakout being higher after the CPI print. All right. So we got a few guys that know a few things here. That's a good thing. All right. Let me end the poll because that's not. Let me go ahead and try putting in a new poll as well. Let me get this question from NR. It says odds and timeline of a Fed cut. That's the multi-million dollar question. What I would guess, we might see talk of a Fed rate cut even in June. We won't see a cut in June. We will see Powell coming out and saying that he is in favor of reducing rates in the near future. He will shift his stance from a place where he was always saying that, hey, I'm going to basically wait for data and all of that. At the moment, that battle has been won, and he cannot go out and say that the data is not supporting it. While he can come out and say that there could be a scenario where the tariffs could cause some issues, because remember, like I'm saying, everyone can tweet in this world saying the deals are done. Your tariffs are still at 55 and your tariffs are still at 15. Your tariffs everywhere else are still going on at the 10% rate that's going on, right? Everyone does expect the 10% rate to remain, and even I do. And I do believe that it is going to continue staying at the 10% rate. It's not like it's not going to, right? So, to make things easy for everyone to understand, Fed rate cut, I believe maybe a few rate cuts this year, 25 basis points, slowly and steadily into a growing market, possibly a 7,000 on the S&P, 24,000 on the NASDAQ with all of the AI spending. We were just sitting out, Sean and me both were just sitting out and watching an entire hour long NVIDIA GTC conference that came out in Paris. The stuff that Jensen's doing is absolutely incredible, right? It's just unbelievable the stuff that's happening there. So yeah, I mean, what is important is to look at how we close today. It is very important to realize whether we shouldn't see a sell off post opening. Okay, that's something that I would want to worry about if we start seeing a sell off. We're not seeing a sell off, so that is one good thing. We should close towards the highs of the day or around the highs of the day because that's where we'll usually end up at.
yeah.
Right, that's my bet. Looking that way, let me just go over a few things. Let me see what's happening with this.
I mean, you think you think he might screw around with the tariffs more and more in the coming months if he doesn't like what some other countries are going to do?
Yeah, he could. He very well could. No reason why he does not. I mean, he very well could, right? No reason why he needs to. Here's the thing also, a lot of people are not accounting for it. Maybe because he's getting the China deal done or he's working towards the China deal and it's bullish for him and he's getting it done. All of that's great, right? Maybe he can be a little bit more bulldog type with the EU. Maybe he'll want his way with Canada and Mexico as well. Maybe he'll want a lot more things when it comes to China and Mexico, Canada and Mexico. Maybe he wants a lot of stuff coming in with even I would say the European Union, maybe with other countries. Maybe that's why he's delaying those tariffs. Maybe that's why he's also delaying the trade deals because he wants to get the deal done with China. He gets 55% done on China, and then he gives all
So,
these other comments. Because here's the thing: remember, he can't have a tariff rate of 25 on China and 35 on European Union. They're allies. So everyone that was buying into this thing that he's going to put a 50% tariff on the EU, we were live at that moment as soon as it came out. And the only thing we were saying is this is bullshit. It might be, even if it does for a week, 2 weeks, he's not going to continue with it because it's not possible that he keeps a tariff rate of 50% for the EU and half of that on China, who is an adversary. So, I mean, sometimes just like think of these few things before you invest because that's something to keep in mind. It's very important to remember you're not going to get your ally paying a rate higher than your adversary. Just simple. Let me see. Too late to buy chip stocks. Not really, man. I mean, those are the ones that have still not performed. Maybe Nvidia, yeah. I mean, Nvidia's up about 0.63% today. So it's up about 144, 145. I still think Nvidia might go to 150 pretty soon because if the China deal does happen, you might see some amount of semiconductor chip export controls that were there being pulled out.
yeah.
Nvidia could sell some of its stuff. One of the other things that I saw was on the GTC event, they did come out, Jensen did come out and say that he's going to have Macron on the, I think they're going to be coming up with some form of an AI infrastructure number that's there. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but maybe Europe's
But
buying a lot of chips.
as Anand said, do you think it's a good time to buy certain stocks? Maybe AI or something? No.
You want to stick to like AMDs of the world. You want to stick to companies that are like pretty the leaders of the pack, right? Because here's what happened. Nvidia kept making new highs while AMD kept collapsing.
Yeah.
So that is something that's been happening pretty much throughout. So just be a bit smart about that. You don't want to end up in a scenario where you have
So,
performing
so,
better and just for a week perspective, while Nvidia at the end of the day is going to take the case. For anyone that believes Nvidia is going to be beaten by AMD, just go ahead and watch the conferences that Jensen's come out with, right?
so you think you should buy like a firm, which I think you spoke about it in the last videos, and
I
right?
would bet on the high beta companies, right? I would bet on the high beta companies a lot more than any of the other ones. It's just a lot simpler for me to go ahead and buy companies that are legacy, high beta at the same time, that bet on the economy getting better and not just on the capex.
If you want to buy legacy companies, what do you want to buy this way?
Well, Disney is a legacy company in some form, the kind of company that have been beaten down of them. But I do believe that it is going to work out at the end of it. Let me just go ahead and see some of these things. Yes, we got Magnus Carlsen with us. He's going to pound the table when he loses this time again. That is going to happen. No, that is Sean. We work together. We've been working together for donkey's years now.
I mean, I know what I meant to say is that I wish I was as smart as him. I do have his anger,
But nice to see you, Matthew. Thanks for tuning in. This one's fun. I just got Sean along for this one. I'm not sure if he's going to stay with me for more. But if you guys are nice to him, especially calling him all of these things like Magnus, he's surely going to come back again.
dude. I really hope that we're gonna see beautiful markets this year. I know he came. I know Trump came and screwed up everything, but hindsight is 50-50. So I really think I hope that anyone who buys into the US markets right now or did buy a long time back will see beautiful benefits by the end of the wage freedom.
Oh, wait, freedom. He's the boss. He's back.
But I just hope that US markets continue to rise. I mean, it's just hopeful. But
I mean, they've risen even with all of his antics right now. They've basically just stopped buying into his stuff. Right?
because
That's
he
what's happening.
realized he's a little.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go that far. You know what? In all essence, I think he is just doing what his is the art of the deal, right? It's just that we're not ready for it. The stock markets were not built for the art of a deal book to get implemented within 3 days, right? April 2nd to April 9th, global financial markets. That's all I'm saying, right? It's something for people to just logically think about. It is not smooth sailing. The art of a deal works in your board meeting, in your real estate empire, in your own table when your billion is on the line. You don't go banging on the desk this way, right? It could be one of the greatest negotiators, causing the S&P 500 to drop 20%, the Nasdaq to drop 25% in a month or a month and a half. Yeah, great, everything recovered and all of that. A lot of us shat in our pants, and I'll be the first one to admit that, right? So you don't need all of that in this world, is all I'm trying to say, right? I think what the only thing that ticks off Powell more than Trump calling him too late is the fact that Powell was building his soft landing so beautifully, and this guy just came in and reigned and just basically threw up everything on that party that ended his whole landing. Because if you can keep getting the 135, 150K numbers on non-farm payroll, I think we can sustain the soft landing. The soft landing seems like it's going to go on longer than most people can imagine. I don't see a reason why the soft landing doesn't continue. All I'm saying is if these goddamn tariff rates can stay where they are and all of this nonsense on Twitter can stop, I don't see a reason why we can't end the year on a 7 to 8% year to date or even a double digit 10% year to date increase on the S&P 500. Right. As of now, you're still seeing 22,000 on the index. But in all essence, let me be honest with you guys. This is not what I expected on a good print. On a good inflation print, I would have expected the index to be up a percent. The index is just up 84 points, 0.3, 0.4%. Right? Stock specific, some of them are up 0.7, 0.8, 0.5, 0.9. If we had these numbers, right, and I think all of you guys would agree with me, if we had these numbers 6 months back, even before, if you had inflation heading lower, it would be a percent and a half, 2% up on the S&P 500. Granted, we've already run up a lot. Maybe this becomes a sell on the news kind of stuff. What I am seeing is a fall on the dollar index. You type DXY on your charts, it is absolute cratering on the hourly charts. Just saying. So like you're saying, right, the index barely inched. That is why I'm a lot more bullish on high beta, because these kind of things, lower inflation helps high beta companies go up, helps high beta companies grow. Right, companies which are into fintech, companies which are into lending, shorter term lending, right? These kind of companies are going to grow with inflation rates going lower. Right? You should, and you are seeing that happen. The 2-year bond yield is down 1.74%. The 10-year bond yield is down almost a percent. It is down to 4.43. You need to see the 10-year bond yield break 4.3. The lower the 10-year bond yield goes, the better the stock market is going to perform. There's been some news also about the fact that Secretary Bessent could be becoming the next Fed chair. I don't know how much of that is true. Bloomberg came out with it. The White House came out and said it's false. I don't trust the Bloomberg or the White House. Everybody keeps jumping ship whenever it suits them. So that is something that. But if that does happen, I'm telling you, you're going to see a bullish market. If there is one person that can cause the market to be bullish, if there is a resignation of Powell, is if Scott Bessent becomes the Fed chair. Now, one, I don't think that Powell's going to resign. Two, I also don't think they're going to get fire him. Not going to happen. Three, what I do believe is whoever does become the Fed chair, they're going to get announced in the next few months. So you are going to have some form of a shadow Fed chair till the time Powell leaves. But in all essence, all of this is noise. Don't really break your head onto this. Markets are going to go higher. Things look better. We are about a percent away from all-time highs. We've been saying this since, I mean, this is our 26th episode. So it's been about 25 days already. I've been doing this. It has also been about a month and a half that I've been saying this, that we are heading to all-time highs. For everyone that's been there through this, they know that we've been saying this. And you know what? Even if we don't get to all-time highs a percent higher, it's pretty much this one I'm going to take and say we were right. Right. 9 out of 10 times I would just go around saying that, hey, listen, we don't want to go out and beat our own trumpet and say that we're good at what we do. But this time we clearly came out and said markets are heading higher. Things do look better. It's time to buy. So just saying. All right. That's why I keep saying you guys should tune into our live sessions every day. We do this at 9 a.m. every day, only on days when there's particular news. Like today, we had the inflation print. We came in earlier. So we be there whenever there's something important that's happening. So that is something that I want everyone to keep in mind. Let me just go back to my old poll. which was
I think in the latter half of the day, we might see stocks head up higher
that's what
because
I'm
even
thinking about. It could either be
yeah,
that or it could be
because data was beautiful, right?
it was, but a lot of it could also be discounted, right? So sometimes you should also look at, and to a large extent, if we had to be, if the data was actually that great in terms of surprise to the market,
Yeah.
we would have been up a percent by now. We're still up only 0.3, 0.4. No reason we shouldn't be up already. Maybe we rally once the market opens. All that, I mean, that's something that I can't say, right? At the moment, my bets are still on a green day rather than a red day, but we could see short term selling in the near term. Also, remember next week is triple witching. I've been saying this before on every live. I'm going to say this till November. Cross triple witching. It's a phenomenon that happens once every quarter. It's when the quarterly, monthly, and weekly options expire together. There's heavy volume that comes in next Friday. For this month, we have been bullish. If we continue today and tomorrow, as well as day after being bullish, to Friday's close, slightly the week after that is usually a bearish week or is some form of a pullback, and which would be exceedingly healthy in all seriousness, right? It would be actually welcome to have some form of a pullback. I don't necessarily mean to say that you need an entire 5% pullback. You could have maybe a 2.5, 3% pullback. That is also going to be scaring people because a lot of people are entering near all-time highs thinking they're going to be seeing better prices. Just putting it out there, guys. Be a little smart with your money. Just because you see green on the screen doesn't mean you go in and buy. And just because you see red on the screen also doesn't mean you go and sell. Sometimes it just makes sense to sit it out. Let me just give you a brief on what's happening. 21,995 on the US 100 futures. So that's about 76 points higher. We're off the highs. We were at about 22,069, about 69 points away from hitting today's high, which is at. The volatility index is at about 16.4. Bond yields are lower. Dollar is lower. Most stocks are in the green. Let me just go and see what's happening with Tesla. Tesla's up about 2.7%. Musk did come in and apologize. Maybe not say it out there, but he did come out and say that he regrets saying whatever he did say. Considering he regrets saying what he did say, the stock price is back to where it was before the whole fall and even higher now. So that's the fun fact, right? It's higher than where it was when Trump came out and said he's thinking of selling his Tesla. Now, Trump wants to keep his Tesla. So everyone's keeping their Tesla stock as well, right? I mean, in all essence, seeing a 15% fall on Tesla, yeah, 300 billion, maybe one of the worst days for any stock. But it's another Wednesday or a Thursday morning for all Tesla investors. It's nothing too much to worry about. Let me go in and see if we have some other stuff that's currently going on in terms of news. So JD Vance has come out and said that refusal by the Fed and Jerome Powell basically to cut rates is monetary malpractice. So maybe Trump's not saying it anymore. Second in command,
He
JD Vance is coming out and saying he was
wanted
awfully
a
quiet
sorry
though. I never heard of him for quite a while. After his trip to all these countries, I haven't heard him.
after his Pope visit. Right?
Yeah, after his Pope visit, I didn't hear anything. Trump says he and China's Xi will work closely on trade. China's Chinese tariff rates expected to be 10% following Geneva deal. America to charge 55% tariffs on China, retaining 30% new tariffs plus 25% pre-existing US officials. US to charge 55% tariffs on Chinese goods. So here's what something that kind of makes me think twice is if the trade deal that they're saying is done involves China having to now pay 55% in tariffs, which is higher than what was decided. I don't know how that's a win. I mean, for me, that's not a bullish thing at all. Maybe for the market it is, but not for me. Right? Maybe that's the reason why the market did give off a bit and may not be closing. Yes, to some extent, yeah, the uncertainty is out. A lot of it is cleared up, but I don't know. For me, the fact that if you're going to be saying that, hey, listen, the trade deal's done, but I'm increasing my tariffs, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure about how that's a good thing. Yeah. So this is something that I'm going to come out clearly and say is that what you're looking at is shelter inflation continues. Mechanical decelerations currently going on in shelter inflation. Core goods are negative month on month. Super core has its second lowest reading since last summer. If not for the tariffs, the Fed would be cutting for sure. Let me just now. The only thing that I'm worried about is, are we going to be getting a deflation? Which is, are we going to be getting negative inflation rates? That no one's talking about. I'm talking about. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it could very well happen, right? That is something that can happen. In all essence, that is something that looks likely. If it does happen, you're not going to see the market's going up. Let me be honest. Deflation is not easy to cure. And that's going to be not because everyone wants to reduce prices, but because demand is muted. And if demand is muted, consumer is weak. If the consumer is weak, you don't need jobs data to prove that. You can start seeing prices heading low. And if that starts happening, everybody in the world was expecting tariffs to cause prices to increase. Here's my thought process. Maybe people not spending because of the worry of higher prices causes prices to go low. No one's thinking of that. I'm thinking about it, trying to see if possibly that's a thing that can happen. Just saying, keep a watch. I still do believe stocks will go higher. I still do believe we'll see a new high. I still do believe we're going to have a good year, maybe even a good next year. All of that's based on the fact that the employment reports come in decently well and the inflation stays steady. Forget about increasing. I'm worried about it decreasing to negative territory. That is going to be a worry. If you see a negative CPI print ever in the next 6 months, you are going to see a down 3% on the S&P 500 and a downturn in the markets. So Paul Tudor Jones just came out and said that Donald Trump will pick an uber dovish Fed chair. So let's see what's currently going to happen. Paul Tudor Jones coming out and saying that he's going to pick uber dovish Fed chair could be, I don't know if it's bullish or bearish. Adding to the China readout, President Xi and I are going to work closely together to open up China to the American trade. This would be a great win for the for both. Dude, I'm not really sure if President Xi is on the same page as this guy. I don't know how President Xi is going to be selling it to his people, saying, we got a trade deal, we won, but guess what? Our tariffs just doubled. I don't know how this is going to happen. This is just funny for me after a certain point of time. It's just ludicrous at the same time. Trump says he and China, Xi will work closely on trade. He'll work with Xi to open up China to trade. I think very soon within the Oval Office, he is going to be asked if he had a talk with President Xi, and I'm not sure if he's going to say yes to it, but I don't think he's had a talk. Not my belief that he's spoken.
I mean, you have Howard Lutnick there always being a yes man to Trump. How Howard Lutnick came and said, oh, no, we'll not increase tariffs. Boom, next year tariffs increased.
Yeah.
Because I think the main decisions, everything is all taken over by Trump. And these guys are just there to make sure that, that they're the mouthpiece of the Republican government. I mean, I'm not against the Republican government. The It's just the erratic behavior of the market is just a little too much.
Yeah. It's the uncertainty that got created by the government.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not pro Democrat, pro Republican. Our political views are separate from the way we trade. Our views are on capitalism. That's it. We support the fact of less uncertainty, which eventually leads to higher stock prices. We got 15 minutes to open now, and looks like 22,000 is what the Nasdaq look like it's going to open. I mean, it is very, very muted in all seriousness. I mean, for a market that had a brilliant CPI print and an inflation print that was great for way better than what everybody was thinking, I don't really think 0.3% up on the Nasdaq was anything. Considering if everyone's believing that, oh, the China trade is done and inflation is cured, one of them is not, is what I'm worried about. And I believe that the tariff situation is not yet cleared. Inflation is something that could still be dealt with. Let me see what's he saying. Don't think having an uber dovish Fed chair is good for the markets. Maybe the markets might look through that. You never know, man. The markets have a way of confusing investors very nicely. Remember, the Fed chair cannot be provoked by the president. If that happens, you lose the whole concept of a Fed chair. The essence is that President Trump needs to keep the US dollar and the capitalistic system within the American economy stronger than what people believe it is. Because otherwise, the 10-year bond yield is going to spike and the dollar is going to collapse. And the last time this happened, you know what happened? He came out on the White House lawn and he clearly said, hey, you know what? The bond market went a bit iffy and I have to make sure that, I'm going to go ahead and, let's say, give the 90-day reprieve, right? That's what he did the
Yeah.
last time. What I'm saying is, what happens under a scenario that you have a Fed chair who is exceedingly dovish? That's not a good thing for the markets. I agree, but I think the markets will adjust to that. I think the market's already believing that Kevin Walsh is going to be the next Fed president. Kevin Walsh is by the side of Donald Trump and is supporting the fact he's pretty much against everything that the Fed is currently doing. He was an ex-president on the Federal Reserve, and now it seems like it's the way it is. So he might be the next Fed chair. I don't think Besant would lose his job as the Treasury Secretary or want to become the Fed chair. I don't think he would want to do that because at the end of it, the Fed chair is a talk of the town 6 or 8 times in a year. And being the secretary of the Treasury, you can pretty much be in front. The attention you have, the power you have is a lot more than the Fed chair. Yeah, okay, you're independent and all of that, but think of this, right? President Trump picked Scott Bessent. Scott Bessent's worked with President Trump on everything that's currently happened. How likely is it President Trump is going to be getting Scott Bessent to become the next Fed chair? The markets would pretty much believe that whenever President Trump wants a cut, there's going to be a cut. And here's what's going to happen. If anybody that becomes the Fed chair, especially Bessent becomes the Fed chair, there's going to be pretty much talk about 100 basis points reduction on the interest rates. Now, I'm going to make this clear. If you see a 50 basis point or a 100 basis point drop on the Fed funds rate because you have a new Fed chair, on the thought of it also, the markets are going to tank. The markets are going to tank because that is an uncertain regime now. Now, everybody's going to turn around and be like, okay, wait, that's bullish actually, right? When you see markets go up, that's actually bullish. I think it's not necessary when you see interest rate cuts for it to be bullish. When you see interest rate cuts which are pre-documented, pre-told to you, you've been told that, okay, you know what, something's coming. And then when you're given that 25 basis points, that's okay. But when you're not told and you suddenly have these cuts that come in, that is going to be lethal for the market. So that is something that everyone needs to learn and be wary of. All I'm saying is I'm not being a bear out there. I am 100% invested. All I'm trying to say is that if you're seeing a wall of worry being climbed, keep climbing, but remember to leave the party, not be the last person who leaves the party. Leave before everybody else leaves, or leave midway if you can, but don't be the last one to leave. That's all I'm saying. Let me just try thinking if there's something is going on with the SPY or the Nasdaq. I mean, it's just dead, man. I mean, it really makes me feel like it's a quiet day, just like the past few days have been.
It's bad.
It's just
It
like,
feels disappointed.
yeah, I mean, some of the stocks are still up maybe 1%, 1.5%. Some of them are up 0.5, but it's really not anything crazy. I mean, I would have honestly have expected a bigger move. So it is more choppy than bullish, which means for all the 8 votes that we did get about people expecting a bullish breakout, I think that was just a 10-minute bullish breakout that happened, and then the markets came back down, and that's what happened, right? So that's what I'm saying. That's the wall of worry, right? What you're saying is right. If this is the market on a good CPI print, imagine the drop if the print was bad. That's what I'm saying as well. But you know what? We don't have to worry about that today because we don't have a print that's bad. When we do have one, we'll worry about it that day. So we trade the market we have, and which is good in a way, right? Softer CPI is fueling optimism. US China trade announcements working. Things look great. So Netflix's co-CEO Greg Peters comes out and says he'll respond to Trump's 100% tariffs on foreign movies if a specific proposal arises. Nothing material yet. So guys, it's all just goddamn talk, man. It is all just talk. There's more tacos going around here than anywhere else.
I think the thing is that uh, there's a tariff on making foreign films in China, essentially being they used to outsource VFX works and everything
Yeah,
to China.
true. I don't
So I
deny
think,
that. But
yeah, they want more
I don't really think he's going to
jobs,
do
right?
that. And I mean, where is steel, aluminium, and where is foreign movies? Like,
Yeah,
nothing to, I'm not against movies, but I'm not against Hollywood or any of that. But let's be
but it's a very
honest. I mean,
small
steel,
dent.
aluminium, and foreign movies. What is more important to tariff? I mean,
Maybe he wants more foreign involvement
No, he just wants to scare people saying he can make things worse.
Yep.
That's all he wants. He just wants to scare the living daylights out of everybody and get his way. And sometimes he's not going to get his way. That's about it. Most
Like
times
what
he might.
happened?
So he's going to keep doing this again and again. The only person that is going to go against him when he does not get his way is going to be the 10-year bond yield.
Yeah, the bond mafia almost screwed him.
Yeah, that's what. Those are global countries, bond traders, as well as global sovereign funds, right? That decide the 10-year bond yield.
Yeah.
And they don't do it like colluding to do it. It's because it's at the end of the day, it is the treasury note. It is the most liquid form of a fixed income market. Then again, guys, remember one thing. Everybody that always has been telling me America, it's the doom of America. America's going to end. They're going to die. No bigger equity market in the world. No bigger real estate market in the world. No bigger fixed income market in the world. Where are you going to put your money? In the euro? Okay. What else? The renminbi? No. The yuan? No. Emerging market currencies? No. Most of these goddamn emerging market currencies are holding FX reserves in dollars. Are you going to
California
buy their currency?
itself is like $5 trillion. And if you look at other countries, they're like 400, 500 billion.
That's what
Which
I'm
just
saying.
shows you, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful, expensive
The Russians also
country.
can't really hold their uh, currencies anymore. They can't have their currencies. They can't be trading in US dollars. They can't have US reserves.
The euro is like outdated clubs for old men with
With
dress
dress codes.
codes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
it's
true.
like I think they're only interested in their dress codes and saunas.
That's what someone was reading. I was like, says the only two things is if you really like something in Europe, it's only that you can have great chocolate, great cheese, and decent weather, and maybe too cold weather, maybe not even decent anymore. So yeah, in all, the real crux being that there is no place other than America. So don't fight what's working already unless and until there is a problem. There is no problem at this moment. The 10-year bond yield is down by 0.8%, 4.4. Market should open in 5 minutes. So looks good, right? Just don't build the greatest economy. Yeah, that's true. Right? Don't forget great wine. I don't know how they're going to have their wine with a 100% tariff, though.
Oh, did he tariff fines also?
I mean, he's not tariffed it, but he was thinking of,
I think he wanted to build his own wine collection
who knows, man.
first.
Maybe he wants all his hotels, right? Wherever he's going, he's just building his real estate empire. So that's one thing that I'm seeing pretty much going around everywhere.
It's more like country second, family first vibe. Like I like how all of his sons are all into private equities, doing shady businesses with the Arabs.
Yeah, you never know, man. I mean, at the end of all of it, I mean, they're just trying to make some money here and there. They might be cool with whatever they want to do.
So it's not some money; it's billions.
It's part of the game, man. It's part of the game. I'm pretty sure everywhere a lot of people make a lot more money than that's pretty much out there. It's just that this guy's a little more outspoken, so everyone knows about it. Yeah, that's true. He's literally playing a game of Monopoly. Anyways, but this is what we have, man. This is what we voted for. So this is what we get. So we live to it. In all essence, if you actually go down and look at the chart of the NASDAQ, it is the most beautiful recovery I have seen in a very long time. What a fall of 25% on the NASDAQ, and what an absolute recovery.
Last night I was just checking that. I'm like we kind of knew it would bounce back, but not this fast.
Not so
I
fast.
thought, yeah.
We dropped
We knew it was going to bounce
26%
back.
in 48 trading days. Let me see how long it took us to get back from the lows till today. In 65 days, we're up 35%.
2 months.
Yeah, 2 months of trading. So about 2.5 months of normal,
Oh my!
2.5 months. All the way April 9th till now, maybe pretty much 2 months, right? Back up all over again to where we are. And if you go
3
back in
minutes for
history
market.
and keep checking, every time that the all-time high is broken, you are going to have a rally all the way up because, like I'm saying, a lot of people still have money on the sidelines. There's a lot of money that's going to come in with all of these CPI prints, with all of this tariffs news getting out of the window, more certainty coming in, less uncertainty out there. The bond yields heading lower. And maybe if we start getting people having to reduce the amount they tweet and post on the internet, at the moment, no news is good news. So the only thing I pray for is for people to stay away from their phones and laptops and stop tweeting. We don't need any more tacos. We don't need nothing. The world is fine. Everyone can just chill. Let's just stop screwing with shit, right?
What
You
is
are not going to
taco? It
get better
was
inflation readings
something.
than this. I've been saying this since before. This is the last good inflation report. And I'm worried that the inflation report might turn negative. So just saying, man, you never know. If the demand starts deteriorating, things can get worse. So, I mean, at the end of the day, the Fed is data dependent. Do I want to see rate cuts happen for people to spend more? Yes. But do I want to see rate cuts happen because the unemployment rate has been picking up, job losses are there, consumer demand is low, and inflation numbers are way lower? I don't want to see that happen. If that happens, the Fed's going to be making jumbo cuts of 50 basis points. Everyone that's screaming right now saying he's too late, he's going to start cutting 50 basis points. And when he cuts 50 basis points, the market's not going to go. Oh, remember that. It's
I
only
have
going to go lower.
a minute for market open.
Yeah, I think we're just going to open near the 22,000 level, man. It's just going to be.
Sad.
Yeah, I mean, I would have expected maybe a lot more 50, 60, 70 points more on the NASDAQ. Maybe a lot more high. Maybe it comes through during the day. Who knows? I'm not sure about what happens there, but I don't know. Let's see. Should be fun.
It's gonna open in like
Yeah,
2 seconds.
21,994, 21,995. That's where we're going to open up at. So it's not too much. I mean, the S&P is up 10 points, man. It's like a joke. If I had to tell somebody that today was inflation day and the market moved up, it's absolutely nothing. I mean, it's a really dead day. However, I break it out to anybody, it's a dead day. And some of the stocks are even opening in the red. It's not like it's a green day for all the stocks. So what I would like to see is whether you see the market hold steady or whether the market heads higher. Midday as well as towards close. You don't want to be in a scenario where the market starts heading low. That is something to, because if you're going to start heading lower because you're believing that the data is bad or these trade deals are not really what it seems, you're going to stop trusting in whatever the news source you have. That's going to be a problem. All right. I mean, we're pretty much open flat at 0.18% up on the market is nothing, especially when it comes to this. And it's kind of good that we did do this live with the inflation. So we were able to like be there throughout looking at what all's happening. How long have we been going on for? About 73 minutes? Not bad, man. Let's see what else is happening. Yeah, pretty much flat on most stocks. Nvidia's up maybe 0.4. The index is like the S&P is flat. It could even go into the negative in like minutes. I still think that we'll see a rally. I still don't think that it's going to be a red day. We could have some momentary declines.
The S&P's, the Nasdaq opening was so bad that my
Yeah,
charts are refusing to open up. Also.
yeah, there you go. The S&P is now in the red. So you had an inflation data that was great, right? You can't see the S&P 500 going lower, but there you go. This is what you see. This is what happens. This is how the markets. This is what I've been saying, right? Remember, bull markets climb a wall of worry. You should always be smarter than everybody else because a lot of people would have gone in and bought in pre-market thinking that you're going to start seeing a great number just because they're like, the trade deal's done, the inflation's lower. Shouldn't I be buying? And when they see everybody else has not bought and they're seeing the market down, like just 30, 60 points up, they go in there and buy it, right? That's why you get screwed. Look at the S&P 500, just up like 0.04%. It's like barely flinching. Right? The Dow is negative. The Dow is down by 15.
Are like people sleeping?
So you're not seeing, there is no optimism that's coming from this thing because no one trusts the fact that he tweeted and said that the China trade deal is done. I think the American stock market will trust the Chinese premier coming out and saying that, okay, I got the trade deal done rather than trusting their own president coming out and saying that the trade deal is done because they know that their president can flip. So everyone's only going to believe counterparties at this moment. This is the day that we've come to. Kathy Wood comes out and says SpaceX could be worth 2.5 trillion by 2030.
Dude, I don't know. She's so bad with the valuations. It's just funny. I like how she made a ton of money during COVID and then lost it all out.
She
After the
says that
COVID,
SpaceX could be worth 2.5 trillion by 2030, up from 350 billion today, driven by Star Shield and massive margins. They would need some margins, bro, to be able to be a $2.5 trillion company. Sees 2030 sales hitting 200 billion with an 80% margin. What? Sees 2030 sales hitting 200 billion with 80% plus margins, valuing it at 18 times EBITDA. Dude, they're modeling $1 billion in Mars assets. What the hell are you doing? How do you model assets on Mars? This is the wall of worry that I've been talking about. All right. We start getting people starting to get bullish about buying assets on Mars.
I think I
Dude,
think
this is
Starlink is going to
literally
be
there.
great.
She's literally saying that they're modeling $1 billion in assets on Mars.
Isn't that just dust? There's only dust and sand. Like
Yeah, but there's that dust is worth a billion. Paul Tudor Jones comes out and says Trump is a loyalty and growth guy. He says best fits for a Fed chair.
oh my
Eh,
god, this
everyone's
is
a friend of
sucking up.
someone.
Oh
Everyone's a
my
friend of someone.
god. And this is so this is so bad, so funny. This is sucking up. Oh my god. I've been let down by Kathy Woods in the past. Kathy Dodd has let down everyone.
Yeah,
How
I
do I
should
buy
buy.
assets in
Let me know
Uranus?
if you guys stop hearing me because my mic's a little on low battery. If you do, just drop in the chat and let me know. Then I'll just get on AirPods and continue the.
How do I buy assets in Uranus? I think you need to text Kathy Woods. She'll have business
You bend,
proposals.
bro. That's what you do.
I do Kathy Woods valuations are just beautiful to listen to. It's just
Dude,
so
I still can't
funny.
imagine. She's saying that they're going to. She could have just been like, you know what, there might be $10 billion worth of assets by then, and we don't need to put it into our model.
Yeah.
The fact that she comes out and says she's modeling $1 billion in Mars of assets by then. Here's the fascinating thing. SpaceX is going to be a $2.5 trillion company, but they're going to have only $1 billion worth of assets in Mars. That's like saying, I have $250 with me. I'm a rich guy. But you know what? I have $1 worth of an asset somewhere. How does that even, why would you even model $1 billion worth of anything? Dude, that's what Apple farts every day. That is what a billion is.
Oh,
2.5 trillion in assets. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, let me just go see what's happening with the market.
some stocks are picking
At 21,958, 35 points up. S&P's up 3. Nvidia's flat. Nothing's happened there. You know what? Starbucks and Nike are the two stocks that's been doing well just because of the China story. All right. High beta is doing pretty okay. So that is something that I'm seeing. I mean, watch out for Disney. I actually do believe that if the 120, 125 level does get taken out, 170, 175 in the next year, quite likely, exceedingly likely. I mean, I would have expected a bigger move on Nvidia, but yeah, Artistic J says he's been let down by Kathy Wood in the past. Man, I don't know what. Another thing that I can't believe is why people keep believing in this concept that just because, what is the guy's name who started Twitter? Jack Dorsey, right? Just because he did Twitter so well and he sold it off, and just because he's sitting in some African country somewhere smoking whatever he is, that Square is a great company. The guy needs to just come back to America and just run the company properly, like the way everybody else is. Can't just be sitting in Africa and expect yourself to be a billion, $1 trillion company, whatever it is. That stock has got hammered, from what I know. They keep changing their name, man. Square becomes Block, Block becomes something else. What in the world is it now? What the hell did they change their name to?
okay.
They changed their name to something else, man. Why can't I find them on a ticker? Oh, they changed their name to goddamn XYZ. That's what I'm saying, right?
Oh my god.
This is why you shouldn't be having a guy running a company from goddamn Africa, out of all the places. Yeah, no, it's already called XYZ now for some reason. I don't know. ABC, XYZ, what the hell, man? Some of these things, man, that's just beyond me. Anyways, so in all essence, my bet is still we're going to be seeing a green day. Maybe we'll close near all time highs. Maybe we'll take it out as well. A lot of people are going to be closing their longs just because they're scared, which is a good thing. Yeah, what the hell happened to the stock of XYZ? $64 too. This shit is just being dead. Absolutely dead. They used to trade at 289. Now they're at like 64, 65. I don't know, man. Just if weird. It's just unbelievable. But anyways, point necessarily being that if they can do something, if they can pivot, they have a good model. It can work for them. Nothing for them to be ashamed about the fact. They just need to figure out what the hell they're trying to do. I, I've seen some of their earnings calls. They're talking about Bitcoin at some time. Then they're like, okay, no, we're going to do this. Then we're going to do that. Dude, every 3 quarters, these guys keep goddamn changing their names, man. You change your name from Square now to Block, then you keep remove Block and you keep it as SQ. SQ changes now to XYZ. Dude, what the F is going on in this place? And then they say Zuck is retarded. And I'm like, dude, Zuck's just the lizard. That's all he is. He's made people money, man. At least Square's not made people money. Is anyone that's invested since 2020, 2021 has been pretty much roaming around right there in that price. You look at Meta's chart, all said and done, he could be a lizard, he could be whatever. Dude, the guy's made goddamn money, man. I mean, we were buying a stock below $100, but we sold it early. Whatever said and done. So much for our genius.
I'm gonna kill.
Okay, so for everyone, I mean, we'll do this for maybe another 10, 15 minutes. Then let's see what happens. You know what's fascinating? The volatility index that I was looking at is still at 16.5. I thought it would crater down to maybe the 15s, 14s. It's just dead there. So it's just pretty much there itself. Anyways, we're back down to like flat territory on the S&P. Let's see what happens here. Maybe if shit hits the fan, I'll do a post market. If shit doesn't hit the fan, we meet again tomorrow at about 9 a.m. You'll see a notification. For everyone that's not subscribed, go ahead, subscribe and put that notification thing because I keep doing this abruptly at any point of time, right? At literally
I
any point
think
of time. So
I
some
think we
days I'll do a
just
post market, some days I won't. Yeah, what are you saying, Sean?
I think we'll just talk about the markets. I think it'll be more fun that way also.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about this one. I mean, it is genuinely boring. And I don't want to just keep this going all the way toward just when there's no news, nothing going on. Let me just go see some news, right? I'm so irritated with this modeling the $1 billion in Mars thing. It's just, but other than that, I mean, if she's modeling shit based on the fact what's going to be valued what at Mars, I'm not sure how far we can go. She's not getting the models right and bloody on Earth, man. She wants to model what's going on in Mars. Yeah, anyways. So all of you guys, just go ahead. I like the fact that we have 50% on Trump and 50% on Elon, right? Who's the GOAT? Elon or Trump? NR says it's those glasses, they make her see wrong numbers. I don't know, man. Pentagon slashes in half its request for Air Force F-35s. Okay, so Lockheed Martin is down 5%. Start trading today. Trump says he could reconcile with Elon Musk, but it's not a top priority right now. That's funny though. He's like, I have no hard feelings. I was a little disappointed. I don't blame him for anything. And said Musk likely feels very badly about how things went. When asked if they might make up, Trump said, I guess I could, but we have to straighten out the country first. That's like a very subtle way of him telling, do your shit. Take care of your cars. Let me take care of my country. So this dude's been pretty bearish, right? David Rosenberg. Here's what he's saying. Our proprietary measure of cyclically sensitive CPI inched lower by negative 0.1% sequentially in May and is now down in each of the past 3 months. This tells you a thing or two about the true shape of the economy and how corporate pricing power was fading ahead of the tariff war. Jay Powell needs to find a replacement for solid to describe the macro back. So bears remain bears and bulls remain bulls. That's the story for now, which is why I still believe the market eventually is going to go high. That being said, we're only up about 20 points on the Nasdaq, 1 point on the S&P. Most stocks are turning into the red or giving up their gains. And you see what's happening with Tesla. Tesla's up about 1%. I'm pretty sure it was up more than that when I saw it earlier. Yeah, it was at about three, yeah, maybe 2.5%, 2%. Yeah. Anyways, this is just pretty early trading, so nothing fancy on this point. Anyways, so everyone, thanks Sean for joining in. I'm not sure if he's going to join in all the time.
I might jump in now and then. But
Yeah, he'll jump in now and then.
thank you so much for calling me over.
Thank you for joining in. We should be doing this again tomorrow. If something crazy happens, we will be doing post market as well. So everyone just go ahead, subscribe, go ahead and do that bell stuff. So you get a notification when I go live. Yeah, I don't know what it's called, man. It's just that
The
bell.
bell
I don't know what it's
icon.
called.
Subscribe or you're going to become a billionaire in the future.
Yeah, and none of this is financial advice. Please remember that. I'm not sure about the
Sitting on Kathy Woods. Thank you